This is all you need to send a big fat finger to big corporate. First, you need a NAS. Second, you need a Raspberry Pi. And third, you need two 5090s to run the latest ChatGPT model on open weight. Who am I kidding? We don't have that kind of money yet. Yet, let's just say the important part is yet. You should always believe in yourself, but while the money doesn't come in, us that want to develop products or just work in software in general, well, we have our jobs because let's face it, we're in year 3 of software engineering is done in half a year. So yeah, I think we're pretty safe for now, even if the world doesn't look like it at all. And now we have some war in Iran, which is not great, inflation rising, prices rising, all that. We poor. Yeah, let's see. Maybe stocks go down and it's a good time to buy. So this comes from a techie who has a side hustle, who works in software. Not exactly in software engineering, so it's not like I am developing software every day. I mostly do software testing and test management and things like that. It's a bit different. It's a bit more higher level. It's more system level tests than like to the unit or where you would find software like integration testing and so on. But I care about privacy, so I have done a few things to distance myself from the clouds and other things of the sort. Yeah. And that means Google's minimized as possible. Don't let me talk about Microslop and OpenAI. I just don't use OpenAI at all. So we have maybe some things that are interesting here. And yeah, as I said, I also have a side hustle, which is, yeah, that one is software based. And yeah, I'll walk you through the tools that I use and the things that I think make sense to use on-prem. So that means locally or in the cloud. You know, basically this kind of approach would allow you to have the best bang for your buck while also ensuring that you're not like completely on the clouds. Because I understand hardware is expensive, also you don't want to deal probably with server issues all the time at home. So we need to find a good balance. And starting with the GOAT, and the GOAT is VS Code. You don't need anything else to work on documentation. There are great resources extensions out there for VS Code to let you read Markdown files. I heavily rely on those. I think for documentation, the farther you get away from the Excel sheets and things like that, the better. At least you can use with MD files almost everything. If you don't like MD files, there are some other options out there, but they would lock you a little bit to other ecosystems. For example, I'm seeing the Notions and DocMos of this world. These are editors that you can literally edit, yeah, in a nicer way. They are, I don't know the exact name right now, but if you've used them, you know what they are. And they're quite intuitive, I have to admit that, and they're really nice, but they're not exactly versionable outside of their platform. I mean, you can export your Notion stuff all the time, you can export DocMost. I have tried that multiple times, I've switched between both, so I know what I'm doing there, but it's not ideal. If you want to have things strictly in your premises and being able to interchange them, like imagine you get bored of VS Code or something, you can easily read in Markdown files everywhere. Even implementing your own is quite easy. I had a website back in the day which I used Markdown files to write posts, and then I would then have a script that converted them to HTML that would use Next.js, you know. It's not the hardest thing to do. And yeah, this assumes you're a bit techy. If you want another option, you have anti-gravity, but that's a Google tool. And there are pros and cons. I've used anti-gravity quite a bit because they have right now they are basically giving away like computation, like the AI models. You can use Cloud there very cheaply. So yeah, it's still a good deal for now, but once they unshitify the whole system, yeah, I don't think anti-gravity has a good future. I mean, it's not that I don't think it has no good future. I like some things it does. I hate some things it does also. I am using it more right now than VS Code for documentation purposes, but be aware, I think it's gonna get worse. But right now I'm just leeching on the compute that they have because it's too good of an offer to be ignored, but it can even read like your temporary files. So if you open like a file and start typing to it, immediately their agents will notice that. And it's quite annoying. I don't like when corporate does that, you know. I'm tired of seeing Microslop Teams trying to answer my messages for me. I think that's already bad enough. So yeah, that's about my 30-second rant about anti-gravity. But now since we're speaking of it, I like some things about it, which are the agent manager. It doesn't work as well as it should. I feel like you're better off just doing a UI for Cloud Code and that's it. I think it would be a lot better. Not that I haven't done it, but it's quite easy to have like, basically, if you haven't seen an AI agent, It's basically a markdown file. It's nothing else. It's quite easy to create and maintain. I mean, sure, your mileage may vary. If you want to do like something incredible or customer facing, you need some degree of quality. I usually pair mine with a fair chunk of test cases. For example, I'm doing a real estate agent and I have 51 test cases, if I remember correctly. So it's not an easy task. It's something that you do gradually and grow into, but it's quite nice once you know it. And it unlocks a lot of things from AI that, don't get talked about enough, I feel. Or at least we hear about the words agents, but we don't really see their benefits sometimes. And that's something you would see. But yeah, Agent Manager from Anti-Gravity, semi-good. It has a lot of bugs. Anti-Gravity itself has a lot of bugs. It doesn't work with command execution quite well, unless you're probably on Mac. I am using mine on Windows. That's my favorite operating system. I mean, my internals just were like, nope, it's not. I want to switch to Linux again. Yeah, I'm a bit in a dilemma. I feel like I'm gonna switch to Linux any minute now. It's Microslop. You do one more of those and I'm switching. It's not right now though. It's a whole mess. Once Linux figures out how to run all the apps, we're gonna be good. I don't feel like we're gonna need Windows in the next 5 years. Let's see. I really hope that somebody with Linux creates like the best distribution ever, or at least improves what's already there. There are too many distributions. Maybe it's just some adjustments. But yeah, that's about it. No, that's not about it, because if you want an alternative to agents to the Agent Manager from Anti-Gravity, you can use Cloud Code. Sure, the interface is not as nice, but it works quite well. And command execution always works, because that's what Cloud Code is best at. And that's why one of the 2 subscriptions I recommend for now are Cloud Code, Cloud at least, not because of the whole Pentagon thing, not just because of that. I feel like although they have made some good strides in terms of showing that they don't want to have ads and that they have their limits, and they were really strict on those, and I have to applaud that, because it's, I mean, for a company with a French name, it's making like the the stereotypical French who revolts about everything, I think. So they're doing their part, I think. It's really good what they're doing. I mean, yeah, considering the rest, because you know how AI models are trained. It's like, yeah, I don't want to get into those details, but at least they're the lesser evil, I feel. And the other subscription I recommend, and this is only for now because I really don't like the subscription, but it's a necessary evil because that's just a great deal. It's the Google AI. There's like a promotion or a sale, like you get for $7, 3 months of this, and it's like really good usage because you can use Anthropic models in there. So you can use Claude Opus, you can use Claude Sonnet in there. Gemini 3.1 Pro is, in my opinion, absolute trash. I hate it. Gemini 3 Pro was a lot better for me. I feel like they enshittified a lot, which is not nice. But yeah, these would be the 2 I would use. And I mainly use Cloud Code for like the heavy hitting tests, the hard ones. And I switched to either regular Claude or Anti-Gravity for like easier stuff. Yeah, because Cloud Code, at least on a Cloud Pro subscription, which is like $25 or something, I pay the yearly fee. It's very limited. Like you hit the usage limits very fast, which is unfortunate, understandable, but unfortunate. And while Google has this AI promotion, you can just take a bit more usage from that. It's like an unethical hack that I found. I mean, it's not unethical if they offer it, right? So yeah. Then let's focus on, considering now we just talked about cloud tools and basically the softwares that I use the most, let's talk about the other part of the spectrum. So if we don't want to use the cloud as much, what options do we have? And in my opinion, you only need 2 things, a computer and a NAS. The computer would be your server. This can range from a Raspberry Pi, Mac Mini, to something a bit more extreme where you can run AI on-prem. As I said, that's not the case for me. I don't have that kind of money. Right now I use a Pi 5, 8 gigs of RAM, has a lot of Docker containers in it, never failed me. Just so that you know, you can also connect this via Cloudflare or some other kind of tunnel technology to the cloud. And basically you have your own cloud and you can host a website in there if you want, or anything like it. You would just need to pay for the domain, which is, I mean, a necessary cost, but it's quite alright in my opinion. And with that, you just saved a lot of money, because if you are doing something like a website, you may need some hosting, you may need some compute, you may need, if you are doing automation, N8N, and just in N8N and compute, you are saving like $40-50 easily. with this. Plus you can run everything overnight. If you have it like a pile, like I have, it's quite energy efficient, so you're not going to spend a lot of money in it, which is great. Also, I said Mac Mini because that would be my second option if you need something a bit more heavy, like the M4 is just a great processor, and there's just a great deal out there with the 256 gig version. I know they increased the prices because of the RAM, they're eating our RAM, so yeah, I feel like it's still a good option, even $100 more, or almost $100. And after that, I have the NAS. I have I think I have like the cheapest model of 2-bay slot, which is the brand. Let me try to think about the brand. It's gonna come up in a second. Ugreen, yeah. So I think I have like the DXP 2800. It's more than enough for my needs. I don't need like very fast file access, so I mostly use it for backups because yeah, you don't want to have everything in one place. You need redundancy. That's the thing you lose when you don't use Google Drive. You lose the redundancy that they have, which is great. But if you have a two-way sync, which is, I mean, the one-way sync is better because you can screw things easily with two-way sync, but I have a two-way sync because I like to live on the edge, not that edge, but no, I'm not gonna say edging. Oh crap. Okay, so I have this NAS, I have a two-way sync with my computer, just a specific folder, which is the one that I do most of my work in. I also have repositories, and then we get into the Pi. And this is where you can get creative, because once you have a Raspberry Pi, with the exception that it's ARM, but again, you're going to have that issue with the Mac Mini and a lot of computers out there. ARM is not great for everything. It's great for power consumption, so it's great for people like us who want to live on the cheap side, but it's not great for having every single package out there or server. There are things you're not going to be able to install because of ARM. Let me just say that. Also, if you use a Raspberry Pi, make sure you buy the charger, because a phone charger will not work. This thing can have some brownout resets very easily, which means like the voltage dropped from 5 volts, because they did like some sneaky shit with their charger, which is like 5.1 volt to account for the power that's lost or the voltage that's lost because of the cable, which is not something I like. I am really pissed about that, but yeah, I paid the $15 and got over it easily, because now I don't have resets on my Pi because of that. And yeah, what about the Pi? What's in it? Because I feel like that's where you can get creative. So I've had a lot of containers from time to time. I've been changing those. I've had DocMost, as I said, when I switched to self-host from Notion. It's like a very easy switchable thing. You can just export your documents in Notion and import them back. I think you lose the images, not gonna lie, there are some flaws, there are some sad parts of it, but the good thing is, and what I recommend to you, have all your containers. After that, you can just create a weekly sync with your NAS, and it's gonna work great, promise. Or it's gonna work great if you do things right. Be very careful with your files, because you can lose them. So if you are doing some vibe coding, make sure you double check with your eyes that everything is working fine before you start doing some shit, because you can lose your documents very easily. So from me, what are the containers that are non-negotiable? A Git client, that's the first one. I use Gitya, it's good enough. It's like having proper GitHub. I haven't missed GitHub at all, and yeah, considering what they're doing, they're trying to push like GitHub Actions to be paid, which is just ridiculous. There was a lot of backlash on that. Yeah, I don't like that. Plus, I don't know if you know, but GitHub repos are not exactly private, even when they're set to private. There are ways, that's all I'm gonna say. There are ways. People way more intelligent than me can crack them, so you have to be very careful. Okay, that's one thing. Plus, if you push some SSH keys, you're probably not gonna cry. Or maybe you will, depends on who uses your server. Yeah, so I've also had some discontinued containers. Like I said, DocMost was one of them. It was like my preferred Notion alternative. I think I couldn't install Obsidian for some reason. I don't know if it was the ARM thing, but there were some instances where I had some containers that I couldn't install. Yeah. So be mindful of that. I also had Jenkins. I eventually discontinued because I didn't need CI/CD. I decided to live on the edge again, do some edging. Again, I really need to stop this shit. I am 28, guys. Sometimes I feel like I'm 14, but I'm 28. Okay, enough ranting. I also had a notification client, which was Gotify, and I basically had everything that I wanted to host there. I just hosted. So if I create some app that's useful, I just host it there. I usually maintain my containers so that things don't go overboard, because RAM is limited when you only have 8 gigs. And yeah, now I have an A10. I have some self-hosted services that I've created for multiple things that I need, and that's about it. It's quite useful because it leaves a lot of things. Like you can just have some, you know, like the most outrageous IDE and just host it there, and that's it. And you can easily connect it to the web via a tunnel. So there are some tunnels you can easily create with Cloudflare. It's free. The only thing you would need is a domain, which costs money. Yeah, I think you can get some on the cheap though. It's not like the end of the world, even if you have to pay. And you can also use ngrok. I think I'm gonna switch to ngrok. I still gotta figure that out because Cloudflare, I feel like there's gonna be some backdoors added to that by some administrations here and there. So I'm really not liking that. So not to doom. What's the word when you doom someone? I don't know. No, I don't remember the correct word for dooming someone. But yeah, it's just the lingo that I'm forgetting. But a friend of mine told me that, and I got a bit scared. I gotta be honest, because I don't want people prying on my stuff. But yeah. Just to finish it up, I have just a final recommendation. If you use the Pi, make sure you have an SSD installed. Do not use SD cards, for the love of God. That's absolutely awful. And for like 500 bucks, about what I mentioned here, 600 because you need disks for the NAS, you have a self-hosted setup, plus like 30 bucks a month for AI. I think that's what we can get. And consider you're saving a lot of money in hosting your files online and keeping them private, and also a lot of headaches. I mean, you're getting some headaches by having a server, but that's so fun. And that's about it, guys. So I guess I'll see you next time. Make sure to leave a comment with your setup and what would you add to it. Yeah, let me know. All right, thank you.